It's time for the shop report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. Yes, we are live, LIVE, quote, unquote, on via Facebook and YouTube. What's going on over there? Is that me in the background? Oh, my, there's a lot of action going on. I see a whole bunch of stuff going on my screens. Yeah, we'd like to, of course, remind you that the Shop, of course, is being brought to you by none other than the fine folks over at Rocket Digital Media. It's the one-stop shop for all your digital marketing needs. You can look them up on Facebook at RDM Detroit, or you can slide on over to the website. That's rocketdigital.net, ROCKIT digital.net. Make sure when you're there, while you're there, tell them the BSJ sent you. Joining us on the program today is none other than my cat from the NYC, aka Rucker Park, Bro Rich. What's happening?
It's all good, sir. And just remember, all coaches matter.
And on the other side of the ledger, we got my man from up north, Joy James, aka yeah, Double J, telling people what you say.
Not only do coaches matter, but adjustments matter also.
Adjustments matter.
And so too do the players needing to come through. And then last but not least, we got my man from the Value of Self creator, co-creator, CEO, the Value of Self, VOS Value of Self podcast, Mr. One and Said and Only Leon, bad man Brown, LB. Yeah. Oh yeah, you want to.
Oh wow, that's okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what to say to that.
Hey, he got his welcome was as warm as a Cowboy fan. Are you a Cowboy fan, LB?
No, it's not.
He welcomed you like you were a Cowboy fan, like you root for his team or
I
something.
feel warm inside.
You must be a Hurricane fan then.
Okay, so Leon, whose side you on? I just need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like we're talking to a bunch of Geminis right now. I just need to know who I'm talking. Which one of y'all I'm talking to first? I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? No, he was the only one deserving of the warm welcome. How about that? Yeah.
Wow.
I'll give myself a button on that instance. Yeah. But anyway, we're here to talk some NBA, in particular, the conference finals, East and West. But just take a brief look back at how we got here. Double J, we'll start with you. Are you impressed with the potential combatants for both the East and West NBA conference finals participants?
Yes, and the reason for that is it's not.
Indubitably. My knees. I mean, you drink your tea with your pinky out too? Oh, yes. Egads, man. Stop it. Unhand me, for I bequeath you. Oh, sorry. My bad. What's my motivation? You're right. Got you. Go ahead.
Yes. And
Don't talk to me like a child. I played Hamlet at Cambridge. My bad. Go ahead. Sorry. It's hot in Cleveland right now. Hot.
I can see that. It's getting hot in her. Anyway, so
yeah.
Miami hot.
Yeah.
You must like it there, but since it's hot right now.
Were you saying something?
Reminds you of Miami?
No, it's better. No, but it don't remind me of Antarctica. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, that was going to be what I followed up with. I didn't know if he was talking about Texas or Florida heat here.
Got you. Yeah, got you. Gator country. And again, you were saying
different. It's different. For finally, this is what we've been asking for as fans of the league, is to see some variety. We're going to find out if the notion of a small market in a digitally and globally connected society exists anymore, because we're that close. Philly is not your traditional major market. Atlanta can be.
Why? Yeah, Philly is. Yeah, Philly's a major market. Yeah, it is.
No, stop.
Just because it's
You're
not
being too
listed on
kind.
the. What you mean? Why is okay? But go ahead, finish. Yeah, because they will say that for another show for another day. Philly's not a major market. Okay, got you. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Well, look, outside of the cheese steaks with the cheese whiz and a fictional character statue, what do you have?
Don't ever disrespect the Balboas. Ever.
Anyway, you see who I'm riding with here.
Okay.
As far as fictional characters go.
Right. Oh, got you. Right. Yeah. Brother Rich, same thing to you. We look back on how we got here in this NBA conference finals, East and West. Are you surprised at how we got here and who the participants are?
Not at all, because I sent out a text to the thread today that all of these players, the stars, if you look at these players, these are Kobe disciples. This is the generation of players. If you recall, check the tape. On this platform several years ago,
there is no tape.
We talked about the fact that the young talent in the league today far surpasses any in the history of the NBA. This is the most talented the NBA has ever been, to the point where in just a few years you can absolutely, without a doubt, in just a few years.
I don't know. You have to show me something on that.
I can show you that. Right now. In a few years, each team could potentially have a quote unquote super team with the right arrangement of players. You could, because the talent, the salary cap won't allow for that. The salary cap won't allow for that. But here's what we're talking about. Here's what we're talking about. In the modern NBA. No, am I allowed to make my point, or are you going to tell me what it is? Because if they won't, then you've already told me what it is. But if you're gonna ask me the question, I'm gonna tell you what it is. You have teams today like the Atlanta Hawks, the Phoenix Suns. It's not the playoffs are interesting. The most interesting they've been since the Kobe era, the early Kobe era. But this is really,
I'm not denying that.
But this is really
I thought you're my super team. You saying?
No. But here's what I'm saying. Because today, in today's NBA, we're not talking about what we define. We live in the era of what are called super teams. And what we're talking about is you have a team where you could have Devin Booker, who is now an emerging superstar, Chris Paul, who is a veteran but has achieved a certain status in the NBA, DeAndre Ayton, and a budding crop of young players who are manifesting themselves as go-to players on the world stage. You have Atlanta with Trae Young proving himself and all those young players we're seeing. I found out who Cameron Payne really is in these playoffs. You're finding out who some of these players are. We heard about Reggie Jackson, but we're seeing, because these players, in truth, they've been names. The league has been focused far too long on just one name, but there's a lot of talent in the NBA, and we're seeing it right now when the fact that we thought that we understood how the East was going to fall, but we're finding out that Atlanta wasn't just going to stand around and let Philly dominate them or anybody dominate them. The Knicks gave you all they could, but they don't have the assemblage of a quote unquote super team. But you look at the Atlanta Hawks, you look at the teams that are left, they have young budding superstars on them, and they have teams if you look at Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they add another player to that team. That's going to be a quote unquote potential super team. The Lakers, you look at Dame is about to move somewhere. You look at what the New Orleans Pelicans potentially could be and what we're supposed to be, but have not blossomed to be yet. And you just look at the kind of talent that's left in the league, and you say, oh man, the league is pretty. It looks like some parity is finally coming to the league after a long time, because we're watching teams and interested. The team that wins the title this year, this is going to be the first time they've ever won it in the history of their franchises. Some of them, and some of them, it's been 50-something years or that they've been this far. Yeah. So we're talking about a different NBA now.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but at the same time, though, when you talk about talent, are you saying to basically athleticism to that? Because I look at the Indiana Pacers, for instance, they had Rick Smits, Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, and Reggie Miller.
That's why they're home.
But I'm saying, what constitutes a super team, though? Three
No,
players?
But I don't.
Five players?
I don't. I didn't. We didn't make the. We didn't call it when the Boston Celtics in today's era.
So it's just a matter of what you call it now.
No. In today's era, the Los Angeles Lakers of Magic Johnson would be considered a super team. When you consider that team had Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, in today's world, that would be considered a super team. The Boston Celtics would be considered a super team. But we didn't deal with that kind of language. The super team mantle is of this era, where we're talking about what are considered, quote unquote, max players who are up for these max contracts and are considered to be the quote unquote superstars of today's NBA. Whether you think they're more talented, less talented, but we're talking about players where, for instance, I did not necessarily see DeAndre Ayton blossoming to be some. I didn't think DeAndre Ayton was going to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you remembered, I asked you via text. I asked you in Double J, why are people talking about is DeAndre Jordan, not DeAndre Jordan, who was it? Andre Drummond. I asked you, is he that good? Because I'd never heard of this guy. But when he started coming up in trade rumors, that was all the talk out here. Everybody was talking about, we get Andre Drummond, the Lakers are going to be a super team, and Andre Drummond, and but Andre Drummond looks awkward on the basketball court to me. But to people, because he's potentially a max player and this and it's the Lakers then are positioned as a super team. We're talking about the Nets right now are today's super team.
But hold on. But what you so in other words, and Leon, we got to come to Leon here. At the end of the day, I've been saying it for the longest. Imagination ain't the same as truth. People see the mainstream, they see it a certain way and they project it as that's a reality. No, it's not necessarily a reality. If that is or that ain't. At the end of the day, I'm not knocking what these guys are happening right now. Yes, you're seeing an influx of the NBA actually looking or maybe somewhat mirroring, if that's a word here, what a throwback moment may look like. I'm just saying we've seen it before. We just haven't seen 2.0.
Whoa. We haven't seen this in Brown's era. We haven't seen this in the Brown era. We haven't seen this. Okay. That's what we're talking about. We haven't seen this kind of basketball. We haven't been this into basketball since the Kobe, the height of the Kobe era, where Kobe was literally dominating people, where we had to see what he was doing night in and night out, no matter who they were playing. And people know he was coming into the arena and he was going to exhaust his energy. And he was going against the Iversons and he was going against those kind of squads. We're talking about that. After that, basketball became, and no knock to my man, basketball became a thing where people were playing it just to get money, and this just a game to me, and it's more to life than basketball. We went in the period where it was about people dressing, because remember, we dismissed a lot of these guys because of the fashion sense, and it was all about dressing. And you coined it the Today BA. We weren't expecting this from the Today BA. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm not in disagreement with that. Leon, what is it that we've seen in terms of it being the Today BA in basketball? What we've seen is a little bit different than what it's been basketball. We've seen a little bit different than now. Okay, Leon, what from where we at now in terms of the conference finals? What is it? Are you surprised at how we got here and who's here in terms of the participants?
First off, not surprised. I'm more intrigued because I did not think a lot of them will be here right now. And it shows because remember at the beginning of the season, before they fired the coach and Nate McMillan took over, they were trash. He coming to play proper coaching. That's the record. That's why the other coach got fired because the record was trash.
Who said proper
coaching? McMillan come in, a guy who had kids and knows how to coach. Say what?
Who said proper coaching? You said proper coaching? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Proper coaching. He got these young players believing in themselves. Trae Young able to evolve. Collins able to evolve. Capella was doing his thing, and they have a young team that believe, and he's able to make adjustments. That became intriguing, and that surprised me because I didn't think they'd get this far. Philadelphia, it's good because you have a lot of young talent coming forward. like Jay said, with the teams we have left, we have a lot. The future looks bright with Devin Booker, with Ayton, with with Ben Simmons if he can, hopefully he can fucking get a jump shot and develop. With Embiid, Atlanta with Trey Young in them, Milwaukee. It ain't really about the market now. It's more about building the right team organically and then adding a veteran piece here and there, and then getting the right coach, and you can make something happen. And I think you're starting to see the evolution in that is that if you got coaching and you put the right pieces around, you can make some noise because it's about the chemistry and the right personality. So I think the league going forward is in a nice position, and what we have coming with the conference finals, the Clippers, and a lot of teams like I say haven't been there before, haven't won. It's gonna get real intriguing. It's gonna get real intriguing. This is who win their first title since what Philly won, what 83, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know the year.
But here's a point I want to make that Leon kind of pointed out is that the personal brands of these players can create the markets, the scale of those markets in the ceilings, because these players, as you alluded to even before the show began with talking about AAU basketball, I'll give the example of the high school player Mikey Williams, who is from San Ysidro, California, and is now playing at Lake Norman in North Carolina. These kids move around. If you're that top level talent, you're playing all over the country. It doesn't matter what sport. I'm just giving the example of basketball. But at that point, if I know who you are, and you're 3 years from even being a one and done potentially, or playing at some professional level, making that type of decision, it's not going to matter if you played for South Dakota. I'm going to watch what you're doing, and I'm going to, support what you're doing in terms of that particular franchise that you're a part of. If I like your game, right? And so to sit here and say now that, Giannis can't do movies because he's not in LA. Yes, he can. Or he can't get that commercial because he's not in this particular market. I call garbage. I think the fact that you have an influx of European people was already a global game. There's a reason that at one point in time in New York with the Yankees, that when they had like Chin-Ming Wang and some of those guys in the mid 2000s, that they had signs, billboards back there that were in different languages because they had that type of following on top of, because of some of the players themselves, not just the fact that they were the Yankees. So I would not be surprised if somehow there was that Air Grease or, something along those lines, in Milwaukee.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. Leon, we're going to come back to you with this next one. Without Kawhi and CP3 respectively, even though CP3 could come back, will most likely be back before Kawhi, is this Clippers-Suns series evenly matched?
As of right now, without CP3 or Kawhi,
Yeah.
is that what you asked?
Yeah, without either of the two, is this
Yeah,
the
there's a lot of
Suns?
young talent.
Say that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of young talent, man. So now it's more or less on the coaching side. You know what I mean? Whether it be the coaching of Monty Williams or the coaching of Ty Lue, who can out-coach each other. Because they both without their superstar. I mean, Booker's a superstar, but Chris Paul is a superstar right below that. So, and also a coach on the floor. So now, without them two guys, Kawhi, who has experience in the former Finals MVP, and Chris Paul been how long has been in the league as long as he has been. A lot of these cats don't have that experience in the league, so that's where coaching comes along. So it can't be evenly matched because a lot of young talent, but also some good coaching too on both sides.
Yeah, Brother Rich, without Kawhi and CP3 respectively, is this Clippers-Suns series evenly matched?
Absolutely evenly matched. Absolutely. Two best teams left in the playoffs. Obviously in the Western Conference side, it's clear that they're the two best teams in the Western Conference left. and this is an absolutely even match, even on the coaching side. But I know coaching is a bad word on this platform. But this is where
coaching
coaching
is not a bad word on this platform. No, that's not funny.
This is where coaching is going to make the ultimate difference. But this is exactly correct, sir.
Wherever I go, he goes, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy.
I mean, we might as well, because that's what this sounds like. And you all better be glad I didn't upload the newest sound effects, because I got some more. I'm going to start actually saying less. I know that might seem impossible, but I'm going to start saying less. I'm just going to come up with sound effects. Yeah, because that's what you sound like right now.
From Play School.
Play School. Anyway, what were you saying? Oh, were you finished? Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I got you. You're welcome. Absolutely, I'm here to oblige. I'm always here to oblige.
I'm saying I agree with you, sir. I agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
I agree
right. Yeah.
I agree with whatever you say.
I doubt that. He couldn't be more convincing. Double J, without Kawhi and C3PO, CP3, respectively, is this Clippers Suns series evenly matched?
I'm going to say yes. And the reason why is the answer truthfully should be no. I believe that the Clippers have the edge, a substantial advantage when it comes to coaching. I actually believe they have the deeper bench out of the two teams. That was semi on display today, but not.
Back up. You said substantially the Clippers coaching is better?
Absolutely. That's why they're here.
So you're not giving Monty Williams no credit for the Suns, despite because no NBA team in the playoffs this year has been without some sort of turmoil. And the Suns were a number 2 seed for most of the year. So who we argued on the show should have been coach of the year, Monty Williams.
No. He did a good job, but he's done a great job every time he's had CP3. What's
doing
new
better
here?
With CP3? Is he better with CP3 and what he has now than having CP3 before and any other time? Because CP3 said that he and we bumped heads early on now. I mean, early on when they were together before.
Sure.
Now
that's part of what makes a good, that bad word. That's part of what makes them that good at that.
Absolutely.
That bad word. The word you're not allowed to say here.
Got you. Okay.
How about that?
Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. But I'm talking strictly. So Ty Lue is better than Monty Williams, or has done a better job than Monty Williams. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, he has, and that was again on full display with what they did in that series against Utah. That was the difference. That's why they were here. And despite the result from the season,
he's just giving facts. I know facts are not a good thing, and the other.
Well, it's the difference between facts can be corroborated or coerced. So what I mean, but
what he's saying can be corroborated.
There's not the same as truth. Truth,
but again, here's the thing:
devoid of facts. Facts can be opinionated. That's why I call them factinians.
Chris Paul in both of that duo, that combination of coach and player, did not have a Devin Booker at any previous location. And that's why they never, and you got to look at who they were competing against under those circumstances as well, because they went toe to toe with a lot of folks that it certainly made things very, very interesting and pushed them to the brink many times in the past. So this isn't really new with them. So I'm not going to congratulate them for really doing things that they've done in yesteryear. Now, with Ty Lue, again, that Clippers team was left for dead a year ago, and this wasn't going to work. As you've pointed out, every team has had turmoil.
Why was the Clippers team left for dead a year ago? What would make them left for dead?
Well,
they were up 3-1 in the series.
Took a proverbial dump, during a series and disappeared.
Yeah, but that how does that leave them left for dead?
Well, in the eyes of the general public, had written them off, that there was no way they were going to recover from that. And your mainstream media folks. Now, with that being said, has there been clearly some adjustments made where Paul George is getting more familiar? You could tell there's some hesitancy when he's with Kawhi. Like, again, to the complete opposite, I would argue, of that in syncness that Monty Williams has with Chris Paul. Kawhi and Paul George don't really have that. With Paul George saying, kind of, am I Batman today or am I Robin? And with his absence, you've seen he has the green light. He has the faith of his coach and that staff, and he's able to get the results that they're looking for. And that's, again, why they're there. But
But this is the same Paul George who, along with Kawhi, had to win a game 7. They had to close out, right? You trying to say they don't have a symmetry or a chemistry? Paul George's problem, for the most part, has been his shot selection. That was the deciding factor in why I was saying they were playing pedestrian. They were playing with the turn it on, turn it off.
But
even with Kawhi.
You got to remember, come on, Jay, you know this too. You hooped for a while now. So
Paul
you
George
would know.
You want me to tell you what I see from Paul George more than anything? His effort. His mentality. He then decided, I'm not going out like this. He said it in his post-game presser. When they had to close out the first series, they was down 0-2.
That's all talk. That's all talk. And the reality of it is his shot selection, he's not accustomed to being the number 2. So he doesn't know. He's forced to take those shots because his number is called at that point. He doesn't know when he's going to get it again. He's not accustomed to that. When he was in Indiana, that is not how that was done. When he was in OKC, that's not how that was done. This is new to him. And a lot of these AAU dudes that you're talking about, even before the program, you're not going to showcase them or be there so they can get showcased. That's exactly what he was accustomed to, was being showcased.
Let me ask you this. So far, in the last, let's say, 4 games, we've seen Paul George, 3 games. Is he putting the ball on the floor more?
Well, I think we can all agree on that, right?
There you go. That's what in other words, he's not settling for 3.
But Jay, why is that?
On the floor.
What change happened?
Because because
you think it was just a mentality. I'm not going out like that.
That's what. Listen, when you're a true hooper, that's what it's always ever about. That's what it's always ever about. And I'm not, again, and I'm going to mention Kobe here, but not to compare him to Kobe, but I'm saying the willingness to. When Kobe missed free throws, he went to the free throw line after everybody was gone to go back to working on free throws. Players say, look, man, I grew up playing in the park. I get X's and O's. I've coached X's and O's. But at the end of the day, when I got embarrassed, I had to make up my mind that I was done being embarrassed. Or when the game got close, I had to make up my mind, we're not going out like this. It's not rocket science, just like we say in football. Yeah, you can draw up all kind of plays. But when it's 4th and 1, I'm not bringing out the playbook. Go get me a yard. Go get me a yard. I got 700,000 pounds on my offensive line. What I need to draw up a double right 65 toss power trap sweep for? I don't. Like Joe Jacoby and Russ Grimm used to say, hey, man, 52 gut.
Yeah, and you see that, Bro Rich? That's that's the Andy Reid with Mahomes going right up the middle with a hurt ankle and jeopardizes everything. Come on,
stop it. That's why Timmy Smith, listen, in other words, I'm saying we could all find examples that would fit our narrative. I'm saying Timmy Smith, a guy you never heard of before or after, had one of the best rushing performances in Super Bowl history to this day because Russ Grimm and Joe Jacoby said 52 gut. Go look it up. Joe Gibbs called plays on the sideline.
But let me ask you a question, Jay. Let's use your point.
Joe Theismann came to the huddle.
Who did they give that ball to? Who did they give that? Who does that? Can any player do that? And any player in football history could have done that? You're saying any normal player?
I'm not talking about who they gave the ball to. Man. I'm talking about the players on the field.
About who they gave the ball to. Do you think they run that play 1,000 times? But in a situation like that, see, when you talk about Kobe, you can't compare the average player in the NBA to Kobe Bryant. That's
I'm
not
even comparing
fair
him. I'm comparing the willingness to.
We're talking about the rest. But when we talk, no, Jay, we're talking about the rest that need motivation, that need a coach, that need somebody to tell them what to do. Just because you like to do something and you have a certain motivation, you can't. That was Jordan's problem. He wanted everybody to be like him. They said Kobe wouldn't even have a conversation with you until he understood that you were serious about basketball.
Okay, that's fine.
What do you
I
mean?
get
Come on,
all of
man.
that.
What? What are you
Listen,
talking
but
about?
at the end
What are
of
you talking
the,
about?
at the end of the day,
Everybody
if you
not
keep getting,
serious
if
about
you keep
basketball,
getting your
Jay.
lunch money took, if you keep getting your lunch money took, you gonna have to do something about it.
No,
Period.
but
Come on, man. Stop
some of
blaming
them
everybody else. Man,
guys.
stop blaming
No, that's
everybody else
not
for why
true.
you ain't
That's
working on
not
your
true.
craft.
That's not true.
Man,
That's
stop
not.
it,
No, it's
man.
not.
Stop it.
No.
Stop. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because I done seen too many examples. Why it got to always be about something other than? Why it can't be you? Everybody got
So let me ask you a
windows in their
question.
house
What
and
should
no
a coach
mirrors.
get fired for? Is there anything a coach could not
Hey, listen.
do?
Yeah, I'm not.
Coaches should
listen.
never get fired.
Hey, listen. Yeah, listen.
Tell me what a
listen.
coach should get
to your-
fired for.
No. But to your point, how many times have you said it's the players anyway? They don't want to be
What
coached, so
should
coaches
a
don't get
coach
fired
get
anyway.
fired for?
So how much do
But
coaches
I'm
matter when the
asking you.
players got the power?
Okay, no, but what I'm asking you is, I'm asking you, not what the players say. What do you believe
okay.
a coach should get fired for? What should any coach that just got fired have been fired? What should a coach get fired for?
Listen, don't ask me. In this day and age, I couldn't tell you. You know why? Because I seen David Black get fired and he had a winning record.
I rest my case.
And he
I
had
wasn't
a winning
asking you
record.
about what I wasn't asking you about Cavs did or the New Orleans Disco. I'm asking you about what do you say a coach should get fired for? What should a coach
And I
get
just
fired
told you, how am I going to answer that when we see coaches get fired for reasons which they didn't used to get fired?
I didn't ask you for other people's rationale. What would be your rationale? You ran a team. Why would you fire a coach? What would you fire a coach for?
I would fire a coach for not running drills correctly, or not giving instruction correctly, or direction correctly. I would not fire a player. I would not fire a coach if a coach told a player to go work on something and the player didn't work on it. These players have a false sense of entitlement.
Double J.
So what is it then? What is it then? Why should a coach
I
be
said
fired?
I'll pass the baton. You answered.
Oh, okay.
I just all want to
Okay.
know. At least you admit a coach
Okay.
does have a job. His job is to make sure the players run drills, instruct the player on what they're supposed to do. At least you admit that the coach does have some responsibility.
When did I
in the
ever say that the
development of
coach
a
ain't supposed to
player.
do that?
I
just gave you the example. I just gave you the
shooting
example.
a drill in basketball? Is shooting a drill? Shooting is a drill. You talk about Paul George earlier. You know why Paul George is playing with more confidence and playing better and going to the basket more in certain situations and not just relying? Because in particular, he's had Sam Cassell has worked extensively and intimately with him on his game this year. Because he saw that Paul George needed a certain amount of development on his game. All those
So
players.
then why is it that in Indiana you said Paul George has arrived? Well before he ever got with Sam Cassell.
Because before he had his injury, Paul George was on a different level.
He was on
Paul
fire.
George went
Okay,
through
so then
some
was
what
on
did
fire.
because he went through some mental
so in other words,
issues
if Paul
coming
George
back.
was already
He had to gain his confidence again.
Come on, man, stop. Okay, he had gained his
He
confidence.
had to gain his confidence again. He
If
needed
Paul
somebody
George,
to work.
if Paul George was the player that he is, then what do Sam Cassell got to do with it if he was already that guy?
Because
You didn't say
he went through something traumatic in his life and he needed somebody there to work with him and work him through that. Everybody goes through that. Sometimes you need somebody to help you go through something. And that's what Sam Cassell helped him with, that part of, okay, your game is weak here. Come on, you can do this. Come on, do so and so. This is what they did. I just sent you all a text to the thread of all the players who went and worked out with Kobe. They're all performing at a high level.
Okay, well, let me tell you what Kobe said. Let me tell you what Kobe said. Let me tell you what Kobe said when it comes to player development, because you wasn't here. Like I've been saying, and haven't said anything against, it depends on the mentors. Absolutely. And he said, and it also depends on the internal motivation. Kobe said that.
Yeah, but Brother Rich just pointed that out. He just pointed it out in regards to the coaching.
Just said that.
So coaching is responsible for internal motivation?
No, he's letting
coaching.
No, is coaching responsible for internal motivation?
No, coaching is not responsible. Here's what coaching can do as it relates to internal motivation. A coach can motivate you. Let's use your example of your son. You know, you were not able to motivate your son. I'm not able to motivate my son. We may not be, but another person or another player Kobe could motivate my son. Kobe could motivate your son. If your son had an opportunity to sit with Kobe, how motivated would he be? And he would fire up his own internal motivation. He's motivated. He just needs something to get him going sometime. Everybody needs that.
So wait a
That's
minute,
why the number one drink in America is no, Jay.
So
The
he's
number one
motivated.
drink in America
He's
is
motivated,
coffee.
but he needs
It's
somebody to
coffee.
motivate him.
Because we all have motivation, internal engine of motivation, but sometimes we need somebody to give us a little spark plug. Why do you think the number one drink in America is coffee? Why do you think Starbucks makes so much money? Because the American people need that boost in the morning to go in these office buildings and pump out this society that the world.
But coffee is now something you can provide for yourself.
But you have to go. Somebody knows to provide it for you because they know you need it. People know.
Got you.
We're talking about motivation,
I'm
that people can be inspired. People can be motivated. People, look at what Joel Embiid said about himself. He said his whole motivation for playing basketball was watching Kobe Bryant in the finals. Joel Embiid said that, but I know he's only in the NBA, and him coming from Africa in a village and making it to the NBA because he was motivated because of Kobe Bryant. Devin Booker said he's the kind of basketball. I tell you these things. These are NBA players who another player motivated them to be.
When I find the other article, I'm going to send it to you because Kobe said in detail. He said, "Yes, mentors are definitely important." He said, "But the player got to want it too."
I submitted to.
I'm not talking about your article.
Kobe wouldn't even take you as a student unless he saw that you had something in. You had at least a little something in you that would. We agree with that.
Okay.
So,
Leon,
what you're saying to us is, and in your understanding, you believe that Ben Simmons doesn't have any motivation in him at all to have made it from Australia.
I said no. I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth, man. I didn't say that. I don't believe that.
So what are you talking about?
I don't believe that.
So what does Ben Simmons need? He don't need somebody to help him and make him get in the gym and understand you need to go work on your free throw shooting. To work on your jump shot. He don't need that.
I said at this juncture, meaning at this stage.
That's why we said Brett Brown should have been fired years ago. Check the tape.
Absolutely.
Okay,
been fired years ago.
That's fine. But Ben Simmons still looked like the same guy. Like Muhammad Ali said, if a man is still doing at 50 the same stuff he did at 20, he done wasted 30 of his life. So in other words, if you are at this juncture, so y'all pick and choose what I said to take away from what I said. At this juncture, meaning at this point in his career, if you've been in the league 4 years at this point, and you ain't no different than you was 4 years ago, I'm not blaming. How many coaches got to get fired before it's Ben Simmons not respecting his craft?
Well, but look at Lonzo Ball. He went through a very similar set of circumstances, and it was not until he was moved. Jordan Clarkson moved from LA to Utah. Totally different player.
That's fine. Okay, but this is your 4th year in the league. I'm talking about you in your 4th year, and you look no different than you did 4 years ago. At least if you're using Lonzo Ball, he looked different now than he did when he first came in the league, at least.
But what changed? His internal motivation changed when he got traded. He knew sometimes it takes a traumatic experience. And then what did he do? He had the coaching staff work with him on a shot. What am I doing wrong? Why am I here? You question everything.
In other words, in conjunction with coaching, the player has to be a willing participant. What were you going to say, Lee?
All right. Now, I get both sides of the point. Both trying to say it's a combination of both. Coaching does help a player, but personal motivation is the ultimate factor. Let me ask you a question: when does an addict break his addiction?
When does a what?
When does a drug addict break his addiction?
That's hard. That's a chemical thing. I mean, you can want to stop all day long. I would argue it's when they can't be around something, or generally most have to go sit in a cell for days before they can finally say, all right, cool, I'm leaving this alone.
Right, I agree with you 100%. I say that to say this: a person gets breaks his addiction when he's tired, when he gets to a point where he's tired of the cycle, he's tired of going through the same repetitive process, he's tired of hurting the people around him. So with a basketball player, I'm referring to say this: when you know your game is predicated, you're a big man. You use this. You're a big man who basically is a guard skill. You play as a guard. You're a penetrator. You're a floor general. You all those things. So in the years you've been in the league, one of the detriments to your game is a lack of a jump shot, right? That's been since you came in the league. So it's been 4 years, 3, 4 years. Just something internally in you as a shooter, or when you come up the court and your defender just backs up off you because he don't even respect it because you know why you're not even looking for your shot. And if you do shoot the ball, you have no confidence that you're gonna make it. And then if you do decide to say penetrate, I foul you. You ain't gonna make no free throws.
Yeah,
So at what point do you say, you know what? Go ahead, go ahead.
here's the difference, though. Even with that example, is that you have $28 million, so that addict isn't running out of whatever it is. So he's not hurting anybody. And additionally, when it comes to not being respected on that jump shot, that's not hurting your feelings. You're going to go. You're confident in your ability still. So where it would ultimately come down to any type of internal motivating change would be the word change itself, or recognizing that there's an additional goal that is not capable of being achieved without said change. So those are your catastrophic differences, with the example that you provided, because he could still get the 2 points couple different ways, or ultimately that end result.
But where does it come from? Where does it come from then, not willing to even take the shot?
I don't think that would be the case. That's part of the problem.
We've seen that under Brett Brown, and we've seen it under Doc Rivers.
That could be instruction, though. That could very well be instruction. And to your point, he may hear folks like us, etc., saying he's going to miss it anyway, and then we can crucify him for it. Because that's the thing. Where would we be more upset with him on? For attempting the shot and missing it, or going for a higher percentage shot and trying to draw a foul, or going and then distributing the ball for someone that can take a higher percentage shot? That part of that could very well, but yeah. So where's the issue?
Okay, now you said okay. Now by him not having the jump shot, he has to put the ball on the floor and then a distributor, right? So as a defender, if I know that you put the ball on the floor and you can get past me, all I gotta do is find you, and you're not even gonna make your free throws. So that's right. Now is null and void because it'll make you want to stop driving because you can't hit your free throws. I take you out of your natural element of being a creator, a scorer, whatever. It takes you out of your element, so you become in your head like you're hesitating. You play 30 minutes, you only taking 4 shots.
I don't look. I'm 6'9". Yeah, I'm just a freak of an athlete, and I'm young in my career.
Absolutely.
Where the God-given talent and physical attributes that I have would give me the confidence in the other things, where I may not be a 5-tool player, and that's what we even questioning right now. We have to ask ourselves: can you
take
win?
That away from you, then what? When you find
that's why the element of a team sport. This is why I keep suggesting that the change has to be in philosophy from his own coaching staff, because right now you've heard Doc Rivers, I think 48 hours ago, flat out said in Game 6 that these guys are young. They need confidence. You all just said a moment ago, he didn't want the shot. They gave him the shot. He didn't want the shot. There's self-confidence issues with that team. And again, if you're 20 years old.
What kind of confidence issues? What kind?
Self.
Okay.
But that's where the role of the coach comes into play. No different than the example Bro Rich just gave with Sam Cassell and Paul George. That is why Doc Rivers is there. He's got a son-in-law on the team. that can relate to
Okay,
these
so
guys.
in other words, you can help those whether they willing to or not help themselves.
No, you can't do that. That's not what we're
I'm
talking
going
about.
to quick
Oh,
What we've
example.
asked
okay.
you
So in other
before,
words,
I didn't want to enter, but no, what we've asked you
so where
before
does that
is
come from?
show us a coach that's worked with Ben Simmons. Double J made all the points. He asked you the question.
Show me one that
LB,
hasn't.
LB. No,
How do we
none
know?
of them have. We know because he
But he
still
got Doc
don't have
Rivers.
one.
He got
No,
Doc
Doc Rivers,
Rivers.
obviously, but Double J said it to you. Jay, you're not accepting the reality of the thing you called it today, BA. LB, these are young men. He came over from Australia, walked on a college campus. All he did was hang out in Baton Rouge, all with a bunch of beautiful women,
Right.
for a couple months. Then he jumped to the NBA. He's the first signee of the king of the NBA. This is the first guy on LeBron's roster. This is LeBron's NBA guy. He don't have to work on his game. He's
Man,
here.
what that got
He
to
got a
do
match.
with you being
No, what do you
responsible for
mean?
your craft?
He
craft
made it to
belongs
the
to whom?
league. He made it to the NBA.
The craft
You
belongs to
can't make it to
whom?
the NBA unless you could shoot a
The
jump shot or
craft
shoot
is
free
who is
throws.
responsible for the craft?
The coach. That's why you have a coach. That's why you just said it. Drills, instruction. That's why I asked you to go listen to what Charles Barkley said. He said they would take a brother like that to practice and stop him and make him work on his craft. You got to make him do it.
Gotcha.
And if he doesn't do it, you
That's why
got to
he's-
punish
that's-
him for
that's
that.
why-
You got to sit
that's
him on
why-
the bench and embarrass him in high times. So that's why the media in Philly is asking, why don't
Yeah.
you sit this dude?
Yeah.
Now remember, and you talked about Philly, and you guys wanted to say they're a major market. That major market then should be all over him for that. And they're
they are. They are.
getting there. They are
what's
now
your major
finally 4 years in getting there. Why? Because you can't give it to Brett Brown anymore. Doc Rivers is pointing out what his
Correct.
flaws
So you-
are. Because
so you
Doc
can't
Rivers
blame-
going to keep
so-
it 100. We know
So
his
you can't blame
background.
Brett Brown. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's why we told you earlier. We agree with you on this young man. It's showing now that because he does not take the game of basketball seriously enough. He's arrived. He don't care
Oh,
about
wow.
perfecting his craft.
Okay, and then we just did what I can't stand doing.
I wanna
75
let-
minutes and point to nowhere. Go ahead. What you gonna
Correct.
say?
That's why
But
we
look,
told you that. But you
it's
still don't want to admit the benefit of coaching. That's why I asked you, what does a coach get fired for?
Well, hold
Because
on.
obviously,
Hold on. But the benefits of coaching, it all started with Ben Simmons. But now you agree with me on Ben Simmons. But the question
but we
initially
also
was what I
agreed
said about Ben
that
Simmons.
Brett Brown should have been fired. We also agree with that. That obviously
come on.
he did not. He was the first coach
Okay.
he had. He should have worked on him on that jump shot. He should.
This
have worked on
dude
it.
was labeled the
Okay.
franchise. He was not the
Facts.
Paul George, the
That
Kawhi
ain't his
Leonard.
fault. Who labeled him that?
But here's
The
my-
process.
that's-
The people in Philly.
Absolutely.
Pom-poms, the prisoners of the moment.
The people in
He
Philly
didn't say that.
who drafted him for that reason.
They didn't say. I ain't hear them say that. Go
His
ahead.
stuff didn't stink. And he, on top of that, you gave the
Well, whose
man
fault is that?
$40-50 million.
Hold on. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that the player is placed on a pedestal? Whose fault is that?
That's your mainstream media.
So-
that's
okay.
the team
the-
itself.
Yeah, that's the
that
fan,
that
and
could
the
very
fans
well
to
be
a fault. Yes.
Look, when these general managers look what's going on with Zion. Look what's going on with Zion. The
First of
team
all,
can't keep him and his family happy. He's ready to go. That's why. That's the difference. You start challenging these guys, saying, "Hey, man, we're falling short. We need
where
tickets.
Are you getting
we
that
need
from?
this."
Where are you getting that from? Because the main guy who reports for the NBA said he don't know where that stuff is coming from. I'm talking about the main guy, Wojnarowski. Wojnarowski came out on this. I was listening to Bishop and Dunn. Wojnarowski was on Bishop and Dunn and said, "I don't know where that talk about Zion wanting to this and this and that." He said, "I don't know where that's coming from." He said, "But I ain't heard nothing like that." So who we
Where
gonna
there's
believe?
smoke, there's fire.
That's
You all heard it
right.
on this show when he got drafted. He'll be in New York at his next contract. I told you all that. That's
And guess what?
that's
And that team will be in Seattle. So
I
Okay.
told y'all.
Okay.
They're out of there. None of those players
Okay.
are gonna stay there. They're out.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Lee?
Oh shit. I was gonna make a quick example to go to both of y'all points about Ben Simmons. I was gonna use his teammate Joel Embiid as an example. So when Embiid came in the league, he was a traditional low post player, right? He had some mid range game, but he wasn't as he is now, right? Now he's an
Right.
outside threat. He's good from the line. He's not a liability at all. You can play him in all kinds of games, right? We all agree?
Why is that?
Yeah, why is that? Help us
Because he
with that
worked on
answer.
his game. Every year he
But
worked on
why
his
is
game.
that? Why is that?
Why
Why?
did he work
Because
on the
he
game?
wanted to.
Why did he do that?
He wanted,
No.
he wanted
Let's
to protect his
Double J help him out with that.
There was a nice article when they followed that team for that season, and they were working with him. If they would have did anything of that sort, it was interesting because you never really seen Ben Simmons around during that show. They followed Embiid like a hawk, and naturally he gravitates to the camera a little bit more extroverted. And Ben Simmons was just nowhere to be found on camera whatsoever. It's rare. If you would see him, he was a couple tables away, and then you would see him with two assistants talking to him, and not assistant coaches, just your front office guys and those types of dudes that were bringing up probably everything but basketball. Hey, we need you at this charity event. Hey, we need you at this gala. You know, you are we're going to knock over that Balboa guy, and we're going to put you right there, front and center. You're our guy. Meanwhile, Embiid knows, hey, I was here 1 year earlier. I missed an entire year. They're going to ship me out of town like they did Nerlens Noel or Okafor or whoever it was that was drafted the year before him. And what do you know? Where's Ben Simmons? Just like where's Bro Rich?
Who knows? But you know, before you come back, I won't excuse me, do want to move along here because that's we're gonna continue that for another show and another time. After Lee, we come to you because we trying to get you in, squeeze you in here. After taking down the Nets, I'm sure Brother Rich will be back here in a moment. After taking down the Nets, are the Bucks now in the driver's seat to win it all?
To win it all, no. To win
You don't
the
think so?
East, no. Because I think whoever comes out the West, whether it be LA or Phoenix, is going to give Milwaukee headaches. They're going to give them headaches. So it ain't going to be a cakewalk for them.
Facts.
They got to
Okay.
worry about the winner of Philadelphia. Atlanta. So that's going to be a dog fight, whoever wins that series.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure actually Atlanta and Philly is currently going on right now. I don't know what the score is in the game, but we'll let you all get to that here shortly. Brother Rich, after taking down the Nets, are the Bucks now in the driver's seat to win it all?
No.
Do tell.
I still believe that either the Clippers or the Suns will win. Whoever come out the West is going to win. Because
is that
no, I believe that. If whoever come out the West, because Philly, with what's going on with what we just talked about, they look a mess in the East. They're not living up to their potential, and that's happening but on the world stage. And Atlanta looks serious, but they will run out of gas against either one of these teams. They're gonna it's gonna be a good run, but they'll run out of gas. There's more talent in the West than there is in the East.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. Double J, after taking down the Nets, are the Bucks now in the driver's seat to win it all?
No, because if the Kyrie Irving doesn't get hurt, they were out in 5.
Fact. Out.
So
okay.
They nearly lost with a hobbled James Harden and an exhausted Kevin Durant.
Fact.
Yeah, and a two less than 2
less
inches
than
off
2
the line.
inches. That's crazy.
Off the line for their season to be over. All right. Well,
Facts.
we the Bucks still put up a fight, and
the buck stops there.
Yes, facts.
Yeah, seriously. Last but not least, Leon, we come back to you. Which finals scenario would be best for the game overall, for ratings, and the one fans would most want to see? And here they are: Sixers, Suns, Hawks, Clippers, Suns, Hawks, or Clippers, Sixers. Yeah, I appreciate that little right there. That lets me know that I do put a lot of thought into the subject matter on the show, which I of course don't get credit from nobody else on this program. I appreciate
You
you
get
giving me
credit all
credit
the
for that.
time. You get credit
Yeah,
all the time, sir. We
it's
give you
called
credit
it's
all the
called
time.
yeah, it's called the dollar on the string variety. You know what I'm saying? They give it
We
and
give
they
you
take it
credit all
right
the
back.
time.
Yeah, it's called false credit. It's like Aaron's Renter Center. Yeah, 13 months, same as cash. Yeah, don't miss a payment. Yeah, yeah. We'll see how much far your credit extend there. But go ahead, Lee. What was you saying? Yeah.
Man, I'll probably say, for me personally, I probably say Phoenix, Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. You
Really
say
big, like
Hawks?
the influx of young talent. I think that'll be. Say it again.
No. Go ahead. I was just saying. I was repeating what you said.
Yeah, I think you said most interesting and good for the game. I would think with the influx of young talent with Trey Young, Collins, Booker, Aiton, and those teams, it'll get a lot more younger viewers involved. And it will be entertaining because it'll be the young guns up and running. So, from an entertainment aspect of it, and I think might be best to market it to a younger generation. I think that could be a good one.
It's all good. Brother Rich, which finals scenario will be best for the game overall, for ratings, and one fans would most want to see? Sixers, Suns, Hawks, Clippers, Suns, Hawks, Clippers, Sixers.
Hawks, Clippers.
Oh, do
Atlanta
tell.
is a rabid fan base. A large media market, a very dense, a lot of political activity going on, a lot of people relocating to Atlanta, large populations in Atlanta. Urban community there, a lot of hip hop activity, a lot of entertainment activity in Atlanta. Atlanta, and certainly I'm biased when I say the Clippers,
Oh,
but the Clippers because of course it's LA, it's the
I wouldn't have been
Clippers,
able to tell
it's
from the hat and the shirt. Wow, I wouldn't have been able to tell. My God.
but
Yeah.
for the second largest media market in the country, you asked the question for the
Oh,
marketing element, for the TV, for the ratings element. You're talking about, and then two franchises that have never made it this far, going against it for the first time. You got the West Coast, you got the South, you got I think you
okay.
got
So in
activity
other
because
words,
Atlanta, that city has a lot of transplants living there as well, as does Los Angeles. Yes,
okay. So in other words, Hawks, Clippers checks
yes,
off all of the boxes, however
all the
many
boxes.
boxes that there are. Okay, got you.
Yes.
Double J, last but not least, which finals scenario will be best for the game overall, for ratings, and of course, one fans would most want to see? Sixers, Suns, Hawks, Clippers, Suns, Hawks, Clippers, Sixers. Who said Avengers? Which one of y'all just said Avengers when I said Hawks? Leave Anthony Mackie out of this. Gee, my knees.
Papa Doc.
Yeah, that's so disrespectful. But go ahead. Your
Hey,
selection.
came a long ways from 8 Mile.
Oh yeah. Sorry. What were you saying again? I love that button in particular. I'm gonna move that one to the front so it's closer to this index finger. What were you saying?
So I'm going to go with certainly the Clippers. Again, it's LA. I believe.
Imagine that.
They, to my
You and Brother
knowledge,
Richard agree on something.
they've never appeared in an NBA Finals.
Facts.
There
Absolute
is
facts.
so. Then to take that a step further,
Well, that ain't really saying much because I mean, for about 35 years, it was the Lakers and the Celtics. There's a lot of NBA teams that ain't appeared in the finals, so that ain't really saying much. You know, that's not a historic fact or something like the first guy since the last guy who tied his shoe before he fell or something. Stop it. Yeah, but continue. Yeah.
and then I'm also going to.
Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit the button. What'd you say? Yeah.
I too am actually going to go with the Atlanta Hawks, assuming they get there. The reason being is that, as Brother Rich pointed out, that market, the home of Coca-Cola, Of course, TNT's headquartered there. I believe I seen 2 Chainz shouting at someone taking a three, 2 games ago, or the last game prior. It disrupted the camera because again, he could ball. He played college ball, so he's a tall dude. So again, you have culture, you have the media, you have entertainment in both markets, and yet you also have a very long gap in finals appearances, and you still have the claw. You have Paul George. You have a budding superstar in Trae Young that has been setting the world on fire since he was in Oklahoma. So it has all the makings for that. Now, you could also argue that if Milwaukee were to go, again, that's what we're talking Oscar Robertson days. Who are we talking about here before, the last time they were?
Maybe Paul Pressey, Terry Cummings, Larry Kristowiak, and did I say Sidney Moncrief? Yeah, I think I mentioned Moncrief, Paul Pressey.
Yeah, but did they make it? How far did they go? They didn't make it. And how far did they go? That crew, because that was a bomb squad.
Yeah, I know they was in the playoffs all the time. I know
they were. But I don't remember them. I don't remember them getting out the East like that, going there. But I remember them always being competitive.
Yeah, well, again, that East was you probably had, if it was of the 8 playoff teams back then.
1971, I think, would be the only time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. For me, actually, it is Suns Clippers. I want to see Chris Paul get one because I believe the league gypped him, CP3, out of one and not letting him go over there with Kobe in LA when he had.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, but he had every right. No, he had every right. He should have been a Laker. We would have
ran the table back then.
That's right. He should have been a Laker. So Chris Paul is, and then for a guy who is such, in my opinion, one of the rare floor generals with the acronym PG next to his name. To see him bounced around as much as he's been bounced around, it just kind of, I just find it kind of somewhat despicable. I just think that would cap off a guy who's been everywhere, maybe having a chance to play for and winning possibly a finals. I just think that would be a nice ending, so to speak. Or
So you said Clippers Suns? Who are you calling? Who'd you say?
I said Clippers Suns. I'm saying, yeah, for Chris Paul's sake and how he should have been with Kobe. And then for the Clippers, it will, to me, again, should the Clippers win it, it will further cement and shut up the Brown apologists about who is chicken or goat or rooster or whatever they calling it now. Yes, it would further put a nail in that coffin. Facts. Yeah, it would.
Whoa, why is that? Why is that? Because they were loud
about
and proud yesterday evening about KD and going to Cancun and all that.
No, what I'm just saying something similar to like in Major League Baseball, the home run king of all. To some people, has pushed their favorite a little further back in the bushes is what I'm saying.
I don't, but how though? Because Kawhi
Leonard.
How many rings is that for Kawhi? What, 4?
That would be 3.
Okay.
That would be 3. You get what I'm saying? And up until last year's bubble, folks were still saying to some other players, but 3 was the GOAT. Is what I'm saying. I mean, I don't lend no validity to that GOAT conversation and whatnot. But I lost my man Leon. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't trust the software. Couldn't tell you what happened, but it's all good.
The software is rough on my computer.
Stop. Yeah, stop it. Well, that's like
we're exploring alternatives.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, we are exploring alternatives. Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's who it is I want to see. I want to see the Suns and the Clippers for a lot of reasons that most people might not want to. All right, fellas, good stuff. Lee, I hate that I lost you. And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. You all can go sit down and watch this playoff game 7. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here now on the StreamYard Network, or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, or get your favorite video log, so to speak, as well as the shop's Facebook fan page. And if that don't work, Google it for my man's Be Rich, Double J, and my cat LB And all those who follow and support us, we say thank you. I'm Barbershop Jay, and you've been listening to the Shop Report. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.
Just a few more days.